Hey there, Goa fans. Mark, aka DJ Solitaire, here with episode 15 of Retro Goa Explorations, my series in which I present and discuss what I think are the greatest tracks produced in the 90s in the Goa trance psychedelic dance movement. And today we finally have one of the solo productions by an artist who's been featured twice so far in collaborative work. Really one of the true originals and one of the ones who I think demonstrates how the greatest artists of the time absolutely had their signature sounds and elements that were so distinctive and that really made this the music from the scene so entrancing, if I dare say. And that is Jyoti Sidhu in his solo project Psychaos. Now we've heard Jyoti so far in two productions from roughly 93, 94. They were issued in 94, both of them on that Dragonfly compilation, right? One by Ayahuasca, and the other one was Arcturus. And this solo track that I'm featuring today is the first one that I remember hearing. And that was Soundbeams, which was released on this really interesting compilation by Return to the Source. This was my introduction to a few projects. I think it was the first time that I heard Doof. Might not have been, but I mean, this is an amazing compilation with Doof, Hallucinogen, Juno Reactor, Total Eclipse, who I'd heard as well, of course, by then, and Psychaos, right? And a whole bunch more. Really phenomenal compilation. And I remember that I had this one before the summer of 95 when I went back home to Canada first time after having been exposed to this whole scene and movement. And this was one of the productions that I had, and I'm pretty sure this came out before volume 2 in the Concept and Dance series, which I had neglected to mention had some Voodoo People and some Ayahuasca tracks on there as well. That one was pretty earlier on. That was in late 94. I think I certainly got it by early 95. But volume 2 had the title of the project name, Psychaos. That was the name of the project and the track. But I think this one came out before. And I know some of Jyoti's tracks, solo ones, under the project name Psychios were done in 94. I remember when visiting years later in Bordeaux, visiting Stefan from Total Eclipse, and I found this tape, that adapt tape that Jyoti had made for Serge, and it was dated 1994, and it had they tried to grab me on it, among others, and that track was his first Blue Room single in 1995 as well, and I was very tempted to do that one, and I think I'm going to do it later. I'm doing this one as a matter of course, just because it's the first one that I heard, and it also brings back some great memories. But they tried to grab me is really one of a kind. But all of these tracks are one of a kind, and I think this is kind of my point in this whole series and in featuring these artists. There can be these distinctive elements, but the tracks really, especially at this experimental stage, they all had a different kind of flavor, even though they had some common elements. And it's like you've got these different algorithms or these different programs running, and you put in a Psychaos program, and you put in a Total Eclipse program, you put in a Hallucinogen one, and you put all of these little pieces to the puzzle together. And then when you make a DJ set, there's all these different flavors that get expressed, and they hit you in different spots. And it's like this psychedelic acupuncture treatment that sort of pushes all these different buttons. So I've said before that a set is not a set without a DJ set. That isn't a DJ set without a Psychaos track, and I stand by that. At the last CNA, I wasn't able to include one because he was playing right after me, and he started with they tried to grab me too, which pleased me very much. But Jyoti is absolutely brilliant. Started in the music scene very young. He was DJing at the age of 17. Already was into electronic music. And then a few years later, in 1993, he went to a party at Butterfly Studios, a Dragonfly party, and he heard Mike McGuire from Juno Reactor and Serge from Total Eclipse, and poof, was blown away. Met Dino Cyrus and Steve Ronan at that party. They went from the party straight back to Jyoti's studio and started working around on his synths. And, you know, that was the first ayahuasca stuff. And so once they'd done a number of productions and Jyoti decided to go solo, started working on this amazing solo stuff. It's really unfortunate that he didn't put out an album in the 90s, had enough tracks to do it, and, you know, released on a bunch of different comps, which is also fantastic because we got to hear his sound presented, you know, across the board. Fantastic track, Intellect, on the Tip second compilation, and so on and so forth. But Soundbeams is a brilliant one. Again, they all are. And why don't we listen to it now? All right, get this on. Here we go. Beautiful, deep, growly sound, and then there's always some syncopation with Jyoti. That's one of the classic bits. And I just love the variety and the textures of the sound, that kind of watery stuff. And then this chunky kind of sound really adds a lot of oomph. There's always something that varies off the beat with him. Such an experience, captures really the atmosphere of our scene. And the tension of this building up. There's always also in Jyoti's tracks these loops, these harmonic loops that just really become like this earworm and bore this hole through you. Notice how this is dry now, right? Whereas before it was very, it almost sounded like a piano part with pedal. Now it's really crisp and higher register. Now it doubles up at an octave distribution, so the voice is higher up on a different synth. Just again, this kind of loop that just goes around and really snags your attention in that rhythmic element. Then he starts to play around with the harmonies a bit. A little change in the notes there. And we go, nope, one more round of that variation. And then it goes back to the previous one. It's just hypnotic. Modulation. Goes up again, and back down. Again, you're sort of expecting you're going to go somewhere. No, we're back here. Going somewhere. And then back here. And then. So catch your breath.
Soundbeams produces sympathetic vibration.
Pretty much what we thought about the sound beams is like laser beams and light in sound form and vibrations by it. And again, that shift in the rhythm here. Then all kinds of stuff going on here, really complex. Just all these different sounds hitting all these different points, different rhythms simultaneously. You know, again, it's got that kind of upbeat quality to it, while it's also hypnotic and exploratory. Yeah, and it's just like adding something each 8 bars, right? Building up the drama. Just the drums building up here. And again, it breaks and goes into this more staccato, more detached articulation. Another round. couple of layers have come out over here. There the bass line comes back in. Always he's a master at bass lines, just all these incredible groovy bass lines. Drum build up again. What is that? It's that sort of almost like mantra-like voice. And again, that pitch, that slight change in the melodic content. And it's got a bit of that question answer kind of quality to it as well, the up and down. And then back to it. And then that bass line coming back. That opening sound. Now the climax of the piece where it's just all these crazy sounds going on. Again with the other sounds being a little bit more detached again. Real heart level kind of synth sound there. Again, just another layer. And the groove just doesn't stop, just keeps on going. All the different layers that are filled in. Build up to it. It's sort of as that breaks, right? It's in that sort of upper harmonic level. And again, question kind of answer. Really got this drive, and it's very chest and lower body, a lot of this, right? Lower synth sounds. It just then occasionally moves into those upper registers. Some of those earlier sounds coming back in. Sort of opening sound again. Again, all of these guys sound like voices, don't they? Starts winding down. Absolutely brilliant content and brilliant structuring. Organic. I mean, I know everything's happening 8 bars at a time and in all of these sections, but it's still so organic. It never sounds boxy. And just the way, you know, some voices come in and out, and you know, they come back again and they start all playing together. You know, these different sounds and voices dancing together. Really, as I've said before, it's just almost like a sonic representation of what it's like with different people dancing together at a party and then moving around and dancing with others and then coming back. You know, it's like what you're experiencing is what you're hearing, and vice versa. So such an incredible track, such an experience indeed. It's exactly what the track is like. Just a masterpiece by Jyoti Sidhu of Psychaos. An artist who, of course, I have tons of tracks of his that I want to feature in this series. I don't know when I'm going to get through everything, but there we go. First one that I remember of Psychios from this really fascinating compilation, and you know, just a groundbreaking release. So I will sign off here and present the full track without my yapping over it. And hope you'll enjoy it and enjoyed this presentation. Once again, Mark, DJ Solitare here. And here we go again with Psychaos Soundbeams.
Such an experience.
Soundbeams produces sympathetic vibration.